Good afternoon. I'm with Professor Bharat Dalal, one of the 6 founding professors at IIM Ahmedabad. He has been a prolific investor in the Indian markets, investing well over 40 years now. Mr. Bharat Dalal is here to share some insights about investing in the Indian market.
Right.
How are you doing, Mr. Bharat Bhai?
Fine.
So tell with us, share with us what were some of your initial investment strategies and what did you learn from them? Let's go back 40 years in time.
Well, the one of the things that I realized that if I had done my MBA, and that too from Stanford or anywhere else, one must know how to invest money in companies for two reasons. You will get a thorough knowledge of the company, how the company works, how the company develops business, what are the problems company is facing, what are the company problem facing. So my colleague, late Professor Kuchal, who was a professor of finance, and I was professor of marketing. So we started discussing how to invest in India and where to invest in India. So we said, let us try with a couple of American companies which had just started working in India. And one was Corning Glass, we thought has a tremendous potential. Also Borosil Glass, they're also American company. And we followed it. We made some initial investment of few thousand rupees, not much to talk about it. And started looking at it. But we were not happy with it because we couldn't make money faster. It was working, but an average price of 3%, 5% growth, and that was not what we were looking for. Also, it was very much affected by the American company's own philosophy. They didn't want to invest in India in large way. They didn't want to expand. So we thought, let us change our thinking about it. So we said, what shall we do? So we started looking at the Indian companies. That is like Indian companies which are really...
So we are talking, let's say in what, 1970s or
this
60s?
must be 1965, 64, 64.
So we're talking of 1964, 65 time.
About 50 years back.
So it's almost 50 years ago.
50 years back.
And the Indian stock market, how was it back then?
The stock market was in a very rudimentary manner. I mean, it was not something, and very much closely held.
Closely held.
Because all the companies were family managed. And I would say Indian companies, I would say about 90%, 99% are family managed.
Family managed.
Family managed. So the question of professional management was a little bit not much to talk about it, except international companies, multinational companies like Unilever. Then we had a company called ITC, Imperial Tobacco Company, which was working with the American English tobacco company. So these are international companies which have their own way of management. And there no family was involved. They appointed their own managing directors, then their own staff, own managers in various departments. And
So you found two types of predominant companies, family managed and multinational.
Multinational, yes, but very few. You can count on fingertips.
Okay. So, and these companies had, they're publicly held, they had stocks available for buying and selling?
Easily available.
And what was the volume like back then?
Well, volume was very, very large of that company. But the thing was that because they were internationally managed, they were internationally known, their brands were known, so their price earning ratio was very high.
The PE ratio back then?
Very high. At that time, maybe around 70, 80, 90.
70 or 80?
Even you can go to 100 sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And similar company like that doing well in Indian market, for example, which can compete with Unilever. Unilever. Even though the Indian company did well, but as I said, it's a family management. And by and large, Indian investors did not trust family management. So even though company is doing very well, their price earning ratio will be just around 5 or 7.
5 or 7, this is a difference of 10 times.
More than 10 times.
More than 10 times. So
Even
what, So what changed? I mean, was it the amount of new companies that
No.
came in?
No, I
What
think
changed?
change was that, for example, at that time, in talking about 1960s, 1970s, few names were so prominent. For example, Birlas, Tatas, Sarabhay Group, then Arvind Mafadlal. You can count on fingertips such kind of family management companies. And they were the one having large number of organizations working under them. And they always compared. One of the companies which really attracted our attention is Tata. Ratan Tata, FD Tata we call it. They were trying to run professional management with very little family because they don't have much family, the much parts is left. So they always had Indian managers or foreign managers to work.
Okay.
It's called professional management.
All right.
Fine. So that was
So, but isn't that the time where most investors are buying things called debentures and then they would convert them to shares, or that came much later?
No, the real change came, real thinking came by Reliance.
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 And when was that?
That was after 1970s.
So this is, we are talking of 70s.
70. Dhirubhai Ambani came in the picture. And Dhirubhai Ambani was a trader. I remember.
Trader.
Trader in polyester fabrics.
So he was trading polyester.
And he was buying from Hong Kong or buying from Singapore and selling in Indian market, Japan. And a funny situation. I was very much involved with Ambika Mills, a very large company at that time in Ahmedabad, where Jai Krishna Bhai was the chairman. And I happened to be at that time general manager and director at Gujarat State Fertilizers. So we had a lot of discussions about the Indian investment. And he said very proudly, that I don't worry about branding, I don't worry about anything because Ambika Mata, that is the name under which he sold, looks after me.
Okay.
Very interesting situation.
Well,
So
is that
asked
what
him-
happened?
I asked him, why don't you develop a strong brand for yourself? So I don't need it.
Okay.
My clothes sells for itself.
All right.
I'm in seller's market, I don't require to do anything about it. This is the kind of situation they have family management. They never try to adopt new methods of modern management. And unfortunately, this brought in a demise of more than 100 textile mills in Ahmedabad.
100 textile mills went down.
Went down.
So by when? By when did they go down?
Oh, they down in 80s, 90s.
In 80s.
Now, for example, out of 150, 105, only 2 companies have survived. Arvind Mills and one other. Now, Arvind Mills also was very bad shape. Again, they came back because they got a very good grant from High Court. You can restructure your debt. Otherwise, the creditors were saying,
Okay.
that we want our money back.
So you talked about Dhirubhai Ambani, who I'm usually inspired by. I mean, what did he do different? How did he change the whole industry?
I was just trying to say.
Okay.
In that particular time, 70s or something around 77, 78, he went to Jai Krishna Bhai. He said, "I've come to show you the polyester fabric." And
Dhirubhai Ambani went to Jai
Jai
Krishna.
Krishna
Okay.
Bhai. And Jai Krishna Bhai did not pay attention to him. He made him wait for 4 hours.
He made him wait 4 hours.
4 hours.
Wow.
And Dhirubhai has quoted this example so many times. That these people don't want to learn anything about it, about new modern technology or new modern fabric.
So they were not ready to modernize.
So Dhirubhai Ambani got the maximum first mover advantage of creating, manufacturing of polyester fabrics.
So as an investor, did you pick that up early on? Were you an early investor in Reliance?
I was coming to that. So at that time, everybody was watching Reliance, and there was a very strong reputation that Dhirubhai can manage anyone, including the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, great Prime Minister. He has got that kind of way of working.
Okay.
So he got a lot of exemptions, lot of
Licenses.
advantages, licenses, etc. And then on which the very famous movies also made, Guru or something like that, where this is shown how they were managing and how many acquisitions were made. And he brought in lot of new financial innovations. And one of the innovations which you just mentioned was debenture. He said, in 50 rupees you buy 5 debentures of 10 rupees each.
50 rupees, you buy 5 debentures of 10 rupees each.
rupees.
Okay.
So I took the initiative. In fact, I told my
What is a debenture?
debenture is a loan.
It's a loan.
It's a loan,
Okay.
but that loan which can be converted into equity.
Ah,
So you can convert in equity, or you have an option not to convert.
okay.
So I saw that Dhirubhai Ambani is doing very well. He has got a lot of new ideas. So I bought massively debentures. I must have bought about 10,000 or more debentures.
Of Reliance.
Reliance. And
Back
not,
then.
Not only that, I persuaded my brother-in-law Manubhai. Okay, you have just retired. You have lots of money. Okay, what should I do, Bharat Bhai? He said, buy debentures. And he still says that whatever money I have made is because of Bharat Bhai and Reliance.
So you made money because of your suggestion and Reliance.
He also bought 5 to 10,000 debentures,
Wow.
and they were converted into equity shares.
Debentures got converted to shares
Shares.
of
Now,
Reliance.
Each share in shares. So, for example, 10 shares you will get per debenture. So 50, you get 50 shares, and that share we sold at over 150 rupees.
150 rupees a share. So what was the return on that debenture?
I can't imagine. Must be
Percentage-wise?
1,000% or more.
1000%
Or
return
more, or more.
or more
Or more.
on Reliance
Yes.
debentures.
And I must say frankly that my house was built on Reliance.
You can say that.
Yes, and also my children went abroad only on the strength of that money.
So, that's phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
And so how long that lasted, Reliance story?
Reliance story lasted continuously, but again there was strong disbelief also. Okay, this fellow can play a lot of games, and you may go broke. But he proved everybody wrong.
Overall,
Because he believed in investments in large scale. For
okay.
example, the first plant they put up in polyester plant in Maharashtra, that was of the highest capacity one can think about it, large scale. And in fact, when something went wrong with it, I remember, he got people from chartered plane to put it back into operation.
Wow.
He was a very quick decision maker. He knew the value of time. He knew the value of how the things get done. And another thing was that he had a tremendous quality control on all his products. Extremely well controlled. And then he went on expanding. And fortunately, he also got a couple of children, Mukesh and other one, Anil. They were equally adventurous. And they went on expanding different fields. For example, they started with textile cloth, that is polyester. Then they went into making polyester itself. The what you call dana, that is what it's called.
The yarn.
Greens.
The grains.
Grains polyester itself. They were making. Now they didn't want to buy grain. They want to say we make everything from top to bottom.
Everything.
Then they went into chemicals also business. For example, next door neighbor in Baroda, Gujarat refinery was there, which was making. They completely bought out there.
Okay.
So that became
So
petrochemicals.
they bought out the whole value, the whole value chain,
Everything.
supply chain.
Supply chain. So in a number of ways they went around. Then they went into energy business, they went into refining business. Now they are the biggest refining company in Jamnagar. One of the third largest companies in the world.
Okay.
And huge capacity, unbelievable. In spite of the fact that everybody is worried what would happen if they're attacked, because they're just 100 miles away from Karachi, from Pakistan. But they don't give a damn. I'll take the risk.
So can you say for sure that then Dhirubhai Ambani not only changed the stock market but also the state of Indian industry?
Great doyen of that. And
I mean,
because
what would be 3 takeaways about Dhirubhai Ambani and his style?
before I talk about Dhirubhai Ambani, now what happened to the Birlas and Sarabhai group and Mafatlan? They vanquished.
They vanquished.
Because they did not modernize.
Okay.
They did not adopt new modern management techniques. I remember a classic example of Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, who was the director of IIM, telling local people, Ahmedabad textile magnet, hey, take this Bharat with you, take some young professors with you, and let them tell you how to change your way of working.
Okay.
And it is amazing, when these magnets came to speak to IIM, you can't expect better oratory than anybody else. They'll speak so well about modern management. When they go back to their mills, they would just like talking like a king of their empires. They behaved in that particular way. They didn't respect their own managers. Their language was very poor. So they were running like a
It was like a monopolist kind of
monopolist
thing.
approach.
Okay.
And then what happened was that as the India expanded, for example, Maharashtra expanded, other things, they lost the advantage because, for example, I was talking Ambika Mill, they were making extremely good poplin cloth.
Mm-hmm.
But now decentralization took place. Power looms came up all over.
Mm-hmm.
So differentiation in the product was nothing.
Okay.
So why they should come to Ambika and buy?
I see.
So Ambika is no longer there, it's all sold off.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely sold out. So this happened to a number of mills. Another thing that happened was that to textile mills, textile mill was making a total integrated product, right from weaving, buying cotton, weaving, then processing and then putting in the market.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now each part, each one became specialist function.
Okay.
So what happened was that they lost their advantage because they could not do it. Or again, another big problem was that we had a very strong textile union.
Mm.
We demanded higher and higher salaries, and they would not allow any changes to be made. They would say no equipment, nothing of the continue the way are. And they were supported by the
Right.
local government, Congress government, which was not helping to modernize. Anyway, there are problems and problems. But Birlas also vanquished, except new young Birla
Mm-hmm.
brought in new changes. So for example, Grasim, Grasim is there, the cement factory, Ultrafec. They're all modern factories run by a 34-year, 35-year-old Birla.
Okay. Okay.
And he is an MBA from Harvard or some other big university.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And he took over at the age of 27, 28.
Right.
Same, but Arvind Moffatdar could not do it.
So to summarize the investment strategy in the 70s and 80s, what would be the 3 points you could say?
Well, do growth.
Go after growth companies.
Go out with growth companies and see what their managements are.
So growth of India, growth of business,
Growth of business, particularly industry growth.
industry growth,
Where they're growing, how they're growing,
with the
What
new
kind of-
management style.
what kind of management style they have. Exactly.
So not top down as it was, but more bottoms up,
No, what's not, right? That's very
more
important.
innovative style,
No innovative style.
more risk taking.
More risk taking and not going back to what they were doing earlier, not and willing to change,
Okay.
and accept new management.
And of course modernization.
I remember a classic example that I was once interviewed by a company owned by Birla, quote unquote, and he said, "What salary do you want?" I said, "This is whatever you offer." Mr. Dalal, we can offer you 3,000 rupees on and 10,000 rupees unaccounted. I said, "I don't want to take that job."
Okay.
So these are the kind of companies they ran. They were more interested in making money for their families rather than worrying about the enterprise. And today, where they are? Nowhere. Gone.
So how did the investment and the companies change in the 80s and then 90s?
Yes,
What was the
they
change?
started following modern management systems. They followed very much what American schools or American companies were doing. And what is more important, IIM contributed a lot. Indian Institute of Management, let me talk about that.
Okay.
It was a wonderful example of Dr. Sarabhai's forward looking.
Mhm.
He said, we must have good management institutes.
Okay.
So what he did, he contacted Ford Foundation. Ford Foundation, all right, whatever you want, we'll give it to you.
Mhm.
So there were two collaborations made, one with MIT,
Okay.
IIM, and
Right.
second was IIM Ahmedabad with Harvard Business School.
All right.
And the professors were selected youngsters, then some people who were senior, and he brought in about 30 such people in the 3 years' time,
Mhm.
and they were all sent for training at Harvard for
Right.
1 year.
So IIM Ahmedabad was the first IIM then?
IIM Calcutta and Ahmedabad,
Okay.
both were
They're both
simultaneous.
simultaneous. Okay.
Calcutta IIM is very interesting. It is based more on technical aspects, quantitative.
Quantitative, okay.
And IIM Ahmedabad is more on broad general management principles.
Okay. Okay. So
Very interesting.
how did IIM help change about?
Well, earlier we had a lot of difficulties. We had to go to the companies telling them, persuade them what IIM can do for you. But again, there was a lot of skepticism.
Okay.
So the first thing was that we had a chairman, after chairman, director was, honorary director was Dr. Sarabhai, but chairman was Prakash Tandon, late Prakash, who was the chairman of Hindustan Lever.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a board which composed of tall people
Mm-hmm.
of the industry.
Right.
So that made a change,
Okay.
big
Okay.
change, because that opened us doors for writing cases, for approaching of these Indian companies, for management development programs. We are 3-tier management program, extremely successful. From each company we'll select one from the top, one from middle management, and one from the lowest management. And we'll train all of them together in different fields.
Okay. Okay.
Very interesting approach.
So what companies? I mean, you talked about Reliance. You talked about the textile companies of previous days. I mean, what other companies changed the way stock markets?
Larsen and Toubro.
Larsen and Toubro. What was different about them?
Well, they were multinational. They were not
Okay.
dependent upon the family management at all.
All right.
It was a matter of Larsen is a, I think he's maybe Dutch or something like that. But he never took interest beyond that. Just they had some representatives, but they had all management, all professional management, and that continues even now. That is one thing. Then we had another companies also which were extremely doing well. For example, EID Perry from South doing extremely well. They also had a,
What was different about them?
well, they were also managed very much by British people. There were also a lot of international management approach.
Okay.
Then DCM Group.
DCM Group. Okay.
DCM Group at Delhi,
Okay.
where I was a consultant also. They also brought in new ideas and new thinking. But still family dominated, but still they were willing to change over.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they were the second one to build the urea plant.
Urea plant.
Big urea plant where I was a consultant to them on fertilizer technology
Mm-hmm.
and fertilizer marketing. So there was a change coming up very
So
fast.
what? I mean, were there like smaller companies that were coming into the markets? I mean, was there room for them?
There was a room because there was always required a lot of ancillaries and a lot of things. But then again, the main major companies will dominate it because they will then give the orders. But fortunately, Ahmedabad always had a very strong base of small companies, particularly in fabrication.
Okay.
Fabrication and casting and forging, because we had a very big steel industry simultaneously going around, and so that helped a lot. We had a very, and again, India and Ahmedabad also has Gujarat has a strong base of chemicals, dyes and chemicals. So that made another strong point for Gujarat. So we're all over chemical
No,
industry.
so coming back to the stock markets, I mean, who were the big stars in the 80s? Let's talk about the 1980s. You talked about you benefited immensely from investing in Reliance. Were there other companies you invested that also?
They're all doing very well.
No, so which companies you personally benefited from?
Well, Larsen
and Toubro, another one.
Larsen, same thing happened. The share price, we bought it around 550. It went to 5,500.
550 to 5,500. Wow.
Again, professional management all the way through.
What about any of the Tata companies doing well?
Tata companies also, Tatisco for example, Tata Steel of course I forgot to mention. Again, very well organized, very well maintained. And Dadi Sheth was one who had excellent management, completely professional management. You can't believe it that it can be so well managed. We had no vested interest of any kind whatsoever.
Any local Ahmedabad companies that
Local
did
companies,
well?
none of them prospered, except Arvind at that time was.
Arvind Mills.
Kasturba Lalbi was the doyen of the Indian industry in Ahmedabad, a well-known name. But as I said earlier, all these textile mills vanished except Arvind.
Except
At one stage we were saying, if you want to buy the shares of Ahmedabad Kasturba Lalbi Group, you require 10,000 rupees to buy shares of 5 or 7 companies. But now you don't even require 1,000 rupees to buy because all of them are gone. That's bad. The one company which prospered is Atul, which makes different types of chemicals in Valsad. That did extremely well.
Okay.
Their share price also went up and up.
Why did it prosper? Did they modernize? Or what was-
They have good advantage in what they are manufacturing, and good collaboration with a lot of American companies.
So,
they
when,
prospered.
so when did the IT boom happen? When did that start?
IT boom happened after, let us put it this way, the
90s or
90s, after 90s. For example, one of our students was the CEO of Infosys. What is his name? I forget. Infosys chairman, staff. I mean, Infosys. What is the name?
You're talking about the founder of Infosys?
Founder of Infosys.
So what?
He was our student. He was a
Okay.
student IIM, and he took the risk of
Mhm.
starting in company in Bangalore.
Okay.
At one stage, he almost came to close the company, but his wife said, "No, we will work hard and get it done." And that is how Infosys started. And then, when Infosys started, another company which was doing extremely well was Wipro. Wipro had an excellent advantage of manufacturing matchboxes and computers.
Mhm.
They were also supplying computers. They were traders of computers when they started manufacturing computers.
Okay.
So Wipro is still big name in India, and the difference between Wipro and other companies is that they are the greatest contributors to the Indian economy. For example, he gave a donation of more than
Were you talking about Narayan Murthy?
Narayan Murthy was
Narayan Murthy
Infosys.
was he attended IIM?
IIM.
Okay. When was that?
Must be 95, 97, 90 around that.
So he was an IIM
IIM
graduate.
graduate.
Wow. And,
And,
so
doctor-
he took away some IT skills or
IT skills.
or
No, he
management skills.
developed their own because Ahmedabad does not supply technical skills.
But he
have to
developed
be-
management skills.
Management skills. But he had applied himself well,
Mm-hmm.
and he went into what is called, what we call it, processing basically,
Mm-hmm.
buying, having some advantage from America, what you call working here,
Mm-hmm.
outsourcing.
Okay.
And Wipro has Hasan Premji, extremely well known.
Azim Premji, yes.
Yeah, Hasan Premji. And he's a great contributor. He must have given more than 10,000 crores or more. And I don't keep money, I give it to, and he helped a lot of people to education
Right.
in a big way. So these are the people who did it. And then of course one company which came up also, HCL.
HCL.
HCL, one which was making computers from very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, he came to my office in 1990 trying to tell me that I should buy a computer at that time. He really worked very hard to sell me a computer.
Right.
So he was the one who started, and now he's a big name in Indian industry.
Right.
HCL technology, HCL doing extremely well.
So 90s was the beginning of the IT
90s,
boom.
yes, beginning of it.
IT boom,
Boom.
and lot more technology companies came into being.
It has an impact of from Silicon Valley also. It's a back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them worked in Silicon Valley and came back to India to study.
Right.
Extremely good coordination between the two. And the biggest advantage that we had a lot of intellectual manpower at a very low cost. Not that we were paying less, but we were paying what India demanded at that time.
Right.
For example, you can hire a good IT man in 50,000 rupees at that time. That is $1,000, for which you have to pay in America maybe $10,000. Difference was very huge. And that helped all these companies to have a great advantage in outsourcing because they can deliver. And I think many of these companies that trade work with a margin of 70%.
Mm.
Now they are finding difficulty because margin has come down to as low as 15%, 17%.
True.
Because the differentiation is gone. Everybody can do it.
So how did investing change? I mean, if you can, I mean, you've been investing over 40
Yes.
years. Did the technology change?
Well,
What has changed over the years?
one we looked at what are the drivers of growth.
Okay.
What are the drivers of growth? Very important.
Drivers of growth. Okay.
One first is the technology,
Technology. Okay.
customer preferences,
Okay.
and industry growth.
So technology, customer preferences, and industry growth. Those are the three
Where the
things.
industry is moving.
Where
For
the
example,
industry is moving. Okay.
For example, if you are entering into fast-moving consumer goods, industry is there, but it is fairly saturated.
Okay.
So growth is there, but not to the extent. But if you go to IT industry, growth is unbelievable.
Which industry?
IT.
IT industry. Okay.
For example, you go to chemical industry, growth can be very large.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to select carefully three drivers: technology, customer preferences, what we call it demographic also.
Mm-hmm.
And third one is industry. What industry? How industry? is doing.
Industries. Okay.
And then we apply our own criteria. What are the criteria that we apply when we want to buy a share? We look at three things.
Okay.
We look at the earnings of the company, earning per share.
Okay.
What is more important is growth of earning every year.
Growth
What's
of
the
earnings
growth
per
of
share.
earnings?
Okay.
10%, 15%, 20%, 30%.
Okay. All right.
And then earning per share, price earning ratio compared to others. For example, if you are earning now, let us say 20 rupees per share, and you are likely to earn 40 rupees next year,
Mm-hmm.
then literally your price of the share should go up by twice.
Right.
So you can have some kind of a reasonable forecast of what company would be priced in 2 years' time or 3 years' time. So you always look to earnings per growth, very important. Not only price earning, but really
Earnings per share growth
earning growth every year.
every year over year.
For example, a lot of companies are growing every year 20%, 25%.
Mm-hmm.
Take Infosys, growing every year. Now it's settled down now, but a few years back growing at 40-50% every year. So you can't lose.
Cannot lose. Yeah.
Then another thing is that it should be a by and large dividend paying company.
So you like companies with paying dividends?
Because then they have to very carefully manage if they're not paying dividends.
Mm.
So what happens that we are looking for a dividend cover maybe about 10 times, 10 to 12 times. For example, we are paying let us say 3 rupees dividend per share. I would expect they'll be earning around 30 rupees.
Okay.
So that gives you a complete protection. In a bad time also, they'll be able to maintain dividend
Right.
because they have enough dividend cover.
Good.
So these are the things that we look into it.
Mm-hmm.
And
What
again,
about management? Do you always look at?
that we always discuss. Management is of course,
Mm-hmm.
if the company is growing at 25% a year on average of 5 years, management must be good.
Got it.
Now, for example, I give you now a couple of examples. There are 2 or 3 shares now I'm buying now in large quantity. For example, one is a Manapuram Finance. Now they are in gold, they are in business of loaning gold. You give gold, they will give you money against it.
Okay.
Now it's a growing industry.
All right.
It is growing, and average they are paying around close to 6 to 7% dividend per year.
That's good.
Their earnings are very good.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's available only at 24, 25 rupees.
Mm-hmm.
Now bound to grow another next year. I'll find it will be available at 35 rupees.
Okay.
I'm very happy with that kind of. Now large companies, large cap companies, the base is so strong. For example, you buy 5,000 rupees share, to make it grow 25%, and the share price is not easy.
Got it. What about some of the new companies now? The whole startup revolution going on in India. Do you think they are great investment opportunities? Companies like Flipkart or Snapdeal,
Well,
JustDial.
you
I mean, if they are
know-
available
No, I
in
think
publicly, would you invest in
I
them?
would definitely avoid them. I would
You would
definitely
avoid investing in them.
because they require huge capital base,
Okay.
and secondly, there is not going to be enough margin to pay them because price war
Mhm.
and trying to squeeze the vendor to get the lowest price. What is their idea?
But isn't that what Amazon did in the US and they did
Amazon
extremely
also
well?
went through up and down. Amazon one time
So
the
you're
price-
saying there'll be a lot of volatility.
Amazon, unless see what did happen in Amazon. Amazon started well, agree, but then they also came to a crisis situation where they had to change the Amazon platform.
Okay.
They can do many things on the Amazon platform,
Right.
and that helped.
Got it.
Because otherwise we always thought of the books business that Amazon was in.
They expanded in many
So
ways.
they provided a platform
They
where
provided.
number of things can be done on that platform.
True.
Number of things can be sold on that platform.
So you think any of the new companies are ready to do
I
that?
think they will disappear in 2-3 years time.
Really?
Yeah, I think maybe one or maybe left or something like that. Because Amazon will remain.
But they're doing extremely well
They're
right
not
now.
doing well. They're losing heavily.
Mhm.
I mean, there are fortunately investors. Some stupid investors are making money. I mean, investing in them.
Mhm.
For example, Indian aviation companies. All of them are losing.
Okay.
I mean, thinking of future.
Right.
The future, the future is so dark because things are happening so disturbing in the country like this. For example, today I heard the plane going to USA from Turkey has been brought back because of threat of bombing. So
Okay.
this is what happened. So at the moment we cannot really predict what the future would be.
Okay.
See, earlier we used to believe in what is called Boston Consulting Growth, which said growth is going to be 10% a year, but on stable conditions.
Right.
Now there are no stable conditions. So
Okay.
even to forecast 2 years later what's going to happen, we don't know.
Got that. So
Again-
how would you summarize today's market, and what would you tell a new investor in today's market?
I would say you should establish in well-established companies. You should invest in well-established.
Okay.
There is going to be a great appreciation in the value
Okay.
because India is growing at a rate of 7.7% and more.
All right.
And every time when you talk of 7% growth, what was the earlier base? On that basis, the growth is there. So if
Okay.
you look at 5 years before, the growth at that time, the economy at that time, the economy now, huge difference.
Got it.
So we are talking of 7% growth on a presently very large industrial base, economic base.
Mhm.
And Indian investors are also very choosy, fortunately. Indian companies also know they cannot survive unless they offer good value. And one thing that is happening in India, which is I think must point out, there is a great demand of good corporate governance.
Okay.
As soon as they find corporate governance in this share is not good, this company is not good, people will not buy the share.
All right.
In spite of all
So
recommendations.
would you recommend 3 companies to invest as of today?
Well, I would definitely say Larsen and Toubro is one of them, which is
All right.
very much underpriced at the moment.
Okay.
Ultratech Cement is one of the companies.
Which one?
Ultratech.
Ultratech Cement. All
It is
right.
owned by Grasim.
All right.
And third is Infosys.
Infosys.
Even though at the moment the price appears to be low, it's running around 1,040 or something. It should double in just 3 years, 3.5 years time.
Well, I'm here with Professor Bharat Dalal. We had an excellent interview, a lot of insights, and I thank you for your time. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.